Hello, and welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Caleb. My wife and I purchased this 42-acre New England property in the fall of 2022. We hope you'll join us on this journey as we begin to transform this once private airstrip property into a fully sustainable farming operation. You'll see from this drone footage that the property is a combination of cleared land from the old grass airstrip and plantation of trees, a mixture of spruce fir and red pine that were hand planted by the previous owners of this property. As we fly out deeper into the property, it transitions away from the runway and into a more mixed hardwood softwood stand of a traditional New England forest: maples, pines, spruce fir, some oak, some beech. The property has been historically managed under a forest management plan that promoted both species diversity and forest health. As you cruise through the forested portions of the property, you'll find both young regenerating stems and old growth timber. The fall of 2022 brought along many exciting changes for our family as we purchased this property and also welcomed our first child. So in the spring of 2023, we kicked off the property improvements. But first, we'll take a stroll around the property to get familiar with its current state. Here, we're coming from the old airstrip and stepping into the plantation of spruce. As you can see, it's pretty densely planted. There's a lot of die-off because it hasn't been pre-commercially thinned like it should have been. You get some white pine regen coming in, but it's really kind of coming to the end of its lifetime, which is a perfect situation for us, as this land will be cleared for future pasture. I am told that each one of these trees was hand planted by the previous owners of the property back in the 60s, which would put these trees right at about a full cycle, 60-65 years, which is a good harvest age where they start to die off. You'll see we have a gas easement here that crosses the property about a third of the way through, and then back into an additional stand of spruce. And off in the distance, you'll see the red pine. Cool little tidbit: with most softwood species, you can count the branch whorls to get a pretty good estimate of the age. So you can see the clear distinction of the whorls here on this white pine. This one appears to be about 7 years old. The dense spacing of this plantation has not created a lot of opportunity for regeneration among the stems, which will prove helpful as we need to clear this land anyways for more pasture. We're looking out at the end of the runway here, and as we turn to the left, we'll head down this end road that will be the location of our fence line that we'll build for the first pasture. The north side of the plantation is red pine. You'll see there's a lot more spacing in this side as there's been a lot of die-off and storm damage over the years that has really created quite an open space. As we reach this northern property boundary and head down this nice road that circles the plantation, you'll notice some yellow blaze marks on the edge, which in this part of the country is often used to mark property boundaries. I mentioned a little earlier some red pine blowdown, storm damage. As we look around, you can see quite a bit of it A lot more undergrowth vegetation in this portion as we see more sunlight getting through the trees. Pretty wide open canopy, creating opportunity for more of that regen. Some more blowdown here. Root ball sucked right up out of the ground. Pretty wet soils. Now we're circling out to the roadside portion of this red pine stand. A lot of undergrowth. Definitely have future plans to clean this up and hopefully give it that European look of a nice, clean, maintained forest. Getting a little start cleaning some of the roadside brush, upgrading the curb appeal, and getting a head start on getting ready to build fence. But first, we need to clean some brush. Here I'm using an Echo X series with a brush cutter attachment to make quick work of the small stuff. Now it's time to break out the chainsaw to get the larger items. Get this fence line cut through here. Get on down the road. It might not be much, but it's a start. Not sponsored by Celsius, but I'm open to it. More saw work along the rock wall here. Get this brush cleaned up as I'm going to build the fence right up the rock wall. In New England, rock walls are a pretty common visual indicator of a property line between neighbors. Some good progress here as I've got a lot of the brush cut, cleaned up, stacked to move later. Left this little apple tree here along the rock wall. See if it does anything for us in the future. Still a lot of down debris around that's been piled up on the rock wall over time. I'd like to get cleaned up, expose that old rock wall, as it's a really unique feature to the property. Let's fire up the saw again, get into this pine plantation, removing that incompatible vegetation growing among the pines to make room for the fence that I'm going to build. This is a few days later here after some good spring rain. Really starting to shape up and get that nice visual that I'd like to see out of the plantation. Back up by the gas pipeline here. Going to be working back down the rock wall to tie in to that first bit that we've already cleaned, as we're going to use the gas pipeline as kind of our turning point for our first pasture. Still sticking with the method of using the Echo brush saw first, cut all that smaller brush, get it down out of the way, then follow up with the chainsaw. A few welcome visitors enjoying a snack in the spring rain. The spring rains continue. The ground's soggy, but there's still work to get done. So we're still marching along with this clearing of the rock wall, and as you can see, made really good progress. I'm leaving behind these large ash trees that have grown along the rock wall over the years. We've been fortunate enough so far to not have been hit by the emerald ash borer that most of the country has already seen that would have killed off these trees, but these are still holding on. This section is thick with the ash trees and quite a bit of undergrowth brush and even some poison ivy mixed in. The Echo X series with the brush attachment is definitely the go-to for this type of work. Definitely saves the back quite a bit and makes the work very efficient. Really starting to see the work paying off here. Looking back of where we came from, really looking nice. Gonna hop in the truck here, drive down to the end of the runway and work on that last stretch of fence line that needs cleared. What a beautiful spring day today here in Maine. Look at that sky. We've made it down to the end row of the plantation, getting this stretch cleaned up, ready to put posts in the ground here soon. We'll get this truck turned around and pointed back to the house. I just want to say thank y'all for watching. I hope you'll come back for the next part of this series. as we continue to transform this property into our dream cattle farm. See y'all next time.